society says, let's pressure them into getting married, but then let's put it all on the guy to choose to marry them, right? So that they gotta hustle and bustle and kill themselves to try to catch one. And then if they don't catch one and he decides that he's not gonna propose, then she's gotta feel like something's wrong with her. Oh, and she better not try to pull the trigger herself and try to propose and, you know, choose a mate for herself in that way. Cause then, girl, ooh, the shame. Hi guys, this is Nika and I am pleasantly unbothered. Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another video. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that's been on my mind a lot lately. Basically, since getting engaged, I've had a lot of thoughts about marriage, duh, obviously. But for me, it's kind of like, for the first time in my life, I'm really thinking through a lot of these things because, to be honest, marriage has just never really been a goal of mine. So it's not something that I grew up thinking that, yes, one day I'm gonna get married, or one day I need to be married, or you know, this is something that I need to achieve in my life. I never saw marriage as something that was like a goal or an accomplishment or something that I aspired to. But now that I have promised the man that I would marry him, I guess I gotta start thinking of it that way. But I wanted to share with you the reasons why marriage has never really been a goal of mine, and possibly some reasons why it possibly, just maybe, just kind of almost maybe, shouldn't be a goal for you either. And so, disclaimer alert, this is not me trying to talk anyone into or out of marriage. Please do what you want to do, boo. I plan on doing what I want to do, so I encourage you to do the same. This is just me saying that I know a lot of women, because being a woman is tricky, period. I mean, not that being a man isn't, but you know, right? Being a woman is hard, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on us to get married and to have kids and to work or to not work. And I mean, there's a lot of pressure, period. But a lot of pressure from family, from friends, from society, from just everybody, that women are supposed to get married. And there's that huge stereotype and myth that all women want to get married, and that all of us are trying to trap these men into giving us rings so that we can hold on to them forever. Anyway, don't get me started. But I consider myself to be a realist, and so as much of a romantic as I am, and as much as I want to, you know, live the happily ever after and all that stuff, realistically I feel like we don't necessarily have to get married in order to be happy. And so if you're feeling pressured by anyone, or if you feel like, you know, you're not fulfilled in life and marriage is gonna change that or anything like that, let me just talk to you just for a minute, right? Or a lot of minutes. Y'all know I talk a lot, right? So if you're feeling pressure from friends or family or television or society or anywhere to feel like you have to get married, and you feel bad about not being there or about the potential of not getting there someday, I feel like there are a couple things that you might want to consider. So, oh yeah, I didn't finish the disclaimer. Basically, this is no shade intended against anybody. I'm not coming for nobody. I'm not trying to change your views. I'm not trying to offend anyone. This is not me denouncing anyone's beliefs. Like I said, please feel free to believe whatever it is that you believe. Keep doing you, boo. But these are just my thoughts. And like I said, something that you might want to consider if you are struggling with some of the pressure to be coupled up. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you guys would take the poll and let me know what your relationship status is. I'm just curious. I mean, I'll admit, I'm nosy. I want to know. Just because I know that we're all in different stages of our lives, and there's nothing wrong with any of the stages. I think they're very necessary, which I touched on in my previous video about plus size dating. I know that marriage is something that a lot of people feel very strongly about. Some people are all about the marriage and can't wait till they get there so that they can look down on all the single folks and laugh at them for not finding love, right? I know some people are completely against the idea of marriage altogether. You know, the whole ball and chain and, you know, associating it with like a jail sentence or something like that. And then a lot of people like to tell other people who they can and can't marry, and that's a whole nother subject that y'all better not get me started on, okay? But like I said, things can get really heated when talking about marriage. There's gonna be a lot of different opinions on all different sides of the argument, basically. Look at any comment section regarding anything that has to do with weddings or marriage or love or cohabitating. Did I mention this late, y'all? Did I mention cohabitating? Haha, that's the one. The second one I said, cohabitating. Thank you, Google. Thank you, boo. These are just my thoughts. If you feel differently, that's fine. I mean, that's why there's so many people in this world, so we could feel differently about different things, right? And I'd love to have a discussion about this, so please be sure to leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree, let me know if you disagree, but respectfully. I mean, we're grown-ups, right? All right, so getting right into it. The first reason, and these are in no particular order, the first reason that marriage was never a goal for me is that I've never seen it, I guess I said this already, I've never seen it as being something that's to be achieved. You know, it's not the accomplishment that a lot of people make it out to be. And I don't like that there's such an emphasis on getting the ring, you know? Like, ladies, you officially made it when you got the ring. Girl, you got the ring? Oh my gosh, girl, oh my gosh, you're getting married? Come on, y'all, come on. Like, why though? Go ahead, tell me why though. And it's to the point that a lot of people value the idea of marriage more than they do the person that they're supposed to marry. I'm sure you've seen it when the bride-to-be is caught up in the when, the where, the how of the wedding. Oh my gosh, when are you getting married? Where's it gonna be? All this. And I don't feel like people focus nearly enough on making sure that the person is right for them and making sure that they're ready for that level of commitment to someone. And I feel like even in some Hollywood movies, they'll have like a single young lady who's beautiful and attractive and successful and a perfectly logical thinking human being, other than the fact that she has a room booked for her wedding ceremony when she doesn't even have a boo. Come again? Oh, well, the boathouse, they book early. They get reserved up all early, so I gotta reserve the room. Oh, but honey, you're not engaged and you don't even have a boyfriend. Oh, but that's irrelevant. That's the minor detail. That's the last thing, right? That's the last piece of the puzzle. It's like, okay, tell me how that makes sense. And like I said, no shade. So if you were out there with the boathouse booked, I hope you find him, you know what I mean? I hope you don't have to cancel that reservation if that's what you really want. But I feel like that's not the most rational thing. I'm sorry. And I feel like even if we're hopeless romantics, that we all know that marriage does not necessarily equal forever or real love or true love or happiness or any of those things, the happily ever after. I mean, I feel like marriage is an attempt at happily ever after. You're hoping that you and this person are gonna last forever, that you're gonna make each other happy, that it's gonna be real and true and all the wonderful fairy tale Disney things. And Prince Charming is gonna come, girl. He's gonna sweep you off your feet and put you on the white horse and y'all gonna gallop out into the sunset. But in reality, marriage does not necessarily guarantee happily ever after, or that you'll have a happy relationship, or that you'll be fulfilled, or that you'll never be lonely again, or that you can never become single again. And it definitely doesn't make you immune to some of the challenges of single life. And so if you are someone who's on your high horse because you achieve that goal of getting the ring and you feel like you're better than someone, girl, I urge you to reconsider. And then with the focus on the ring, it's like, Can we focus on making sure that he loves you and that you love him and that y'all make each other happy and that y'all want to be together, rather than just if he put a ring on it? Because I'm sure we all know some people who got the ring, but they don't have nearly the relationship they wanted to, or the relationship they think they do, girl. Like if he's supposed to be married, but he's in somebody else's inbox or something. It's like, yeah, you might have gotten the ring, but he possibly just gave you the ring to shut you up, because clearly he's not ready to be married to just one person at least. I don't know, just saying. Another reason that marriage was never a goal of mine is that there can be so many unrealistic expectations that come with just the territory of being a husband or being a wife. And I don't think that's fair. I'm sure we all know that there are so many stereotypes out there about what it means to be a good husband or a good wife, or, you know, to have a good marriage. And all these expectations are things that not every couple is gonna live up to, and that can cause a lot of issues and a lot of resentment in the relationship. So the fact that we put marriage on this huge pedestal and have all these expectations that come out of it for, you know, me turning into the good wife suddenly, then it's not fair. And I feel like it's no wonder a lot of marriages are not lasting. Because if we're a lady that doesn't cook and doesn't clean and doesn't like rubbing a man's feet, but we become a wife, all of a sudden we're supposed to develop this affinity for cooking and cleaning and high heels and looking cute, and hey honey when he walk in the door, and greet him with his house slippers and a drink, and honey how was your day, and can I make you something honey, and all this, and let me clean up after you. And it's like, excuse me, if I wasn't doing that before we got married, what exactly makes you feel like I'm gonna be the happy housewife, you know, housekeeper, cook, cleaner, you know, all that, just because you put a ring on it? You know, that's not how it works. And so the fact that these expectations that a wife is supposed to do this when Nika might have been doing that, you know, if they don't meet up, then my boo's gonna have some well, whoops, he gonna be mad, y'all. He gonna be mad. Luckily for him, I do like to cook and I do like to keep a clean house and all of those things, but that doesn't automatically come with a wedding, you know, with the title of a bride. And so you'll always hear about those couples who have been together for 5, 10, 15 years even, and they were a strong couple and they were happy, and then suddenly they decided to get married and everybody was like, why now? And then 3 years later they divorced and it was terrible. You know, it's like, wait, how'd y'all last 15 years cohabitating? We got it that time, girl. We got it. And suddenly y'all get married and the whole thing breaks up. It's like, how does that happen? Or why does that happen? You know, did you expect something to change or improve or something when you got married? And obviously, I feel like we all should be striving for improvements and changes, and maybe if someone doesn't know how to cook, maybe they'll start to learn how to cook and all of that. You know, these improvements can come over time, definitely, but to automatically assume that I'm gonna snap into, you know, a certain gear just because we hopped over the broom or whatever, that's not realistic. And for me to assume that he's just gonna be a great provider and he's gonna love me and he's gonna stop looking at girls and he's gonna start taking the trash out consistently and he's gonna do all this just because I made a husband out of him. No, no, that's not realistic. And so marriage does not fix anything. It does not guarantee that you're gonna be happy or that the relationship is gonna work. It just doesn't work that way. The third reason, I think we're up to 3, that marriage has not really been a goal for me is that it's really not that hard to get married. Whoops, did I just spill the beans? I don't know. It really isn't. Now, it can be hard to find a quality person to marry. It can be hard to, you know, find that level of connection and commitment and loyalty and all the things that you require in someone that would make a good spouse or a good partner. That might be hard, but it's not hard to just walk down and out with somebody. I'm sure we can all think of some sad sap that we could get to put a ring on it. It might cost us something. We might have to give up a cookie or two. But if we were all desperate to get married, I'm sure we could get married. So the fact that we act like marriage is the goal instead of focusing on the quality of the relationship, that's bothersome to me. It really is. And I think that's one of the reasons that the holier than thou married people really bug me. And I'm sure you know a few. And like I said, if not, just find any comment thread, like comment section of any post about single ladies, engaged ladies, married ladies, cohabitating, the ones that are like giving boyfriend, husband benefits. Look at any comment section and you'll see what I mean. I'm talking about the women that feel like they've made it because they have a husband, and my husband, and my husband, and my husband, right? And they look down on anyone who's not there, right? So even if they got married and they've known this person a total of 3 years, they often look down on a relationship of 15 years when there's been no ring involved. Oh, so unless you get married, it's not real. It's not true. You're still single. I don't care what you want to call yourselves. You're not really married. You're the what? I feel like people make it this such a sacred thing in a way, and like I said, I know to some people it is that because it means different things to different people, but we put it way up here, all the way up here, and then once we get there we're like, oh, look at all these common people down there, and now I'm up here so I'm better than them, when really, like I said, it's really not that hard for all of us to get there. So stop it. Just stop it. Stop it. Being married does not make a relationship real. Not being married does not make a relationship not real. And being single does not mean there's something wrong with a woman, does not mean that she needs to work harder, does not mean that she needs to change herself to find a man, or that she needs to you know, kick it into high gear before she becomes a spinster or anything like that. And it's funny, I guess my views have a lot to do with the way I was raised. My mom would joke that she gave birth to 3 daughters. I'm one of 3. And that she basically made 3 spinsters, you know, because me and my sisters, we wouldn't talk about marriage. We wouldn't focus on marriage. My mom will ask us, you want to get married someday? And we're like, if we find the right guy, you know. And she's like, wow, it's only my daughters that aren't, you know, crazy about getting married, it seems. And I mean, she was joking about the spinster thing because I think we learned a lot of it from her. So my mom was happily married. She regards her husband, our dad, as the love of her life. And it's interesting because she's never tried to push that on us as something that we absolutely had to find. And so she would always tell us that she hopes that we, you know, that we can be with someone who loves us and cares for us and that we can build a future with. But it was never like, y'all better go out there and get you a husband, you know, before the neighbors start talking about how my daughters ain't desirable or something. And I know some people are facing this, like a lot of families are wondering and worrying about what the neighbors are gonna say. And what will people say if you're 40 and unmarried? They're gonna think something's wrong with you. I have an idea, right? What if people mind their businesses? Their businesses? Anyway, what if people do that? And stop wondering about other people's ring fingers and other people's relationships. I think that would be swell. I really do. And so anyway, props to my mama, because like I said, it's not easy dating as a lady, especially as a plus size lady, with, in some ways, I guess, our dating pool being smaller than a lot of other women, and with the pressure being there to be like, you gotta find one and hold on to him, don't let him go. Trap him if you have to, but you better get that man. I mean, that's hard, and I'm joking, and like I said, no offense if anyone feels sensitive about this or anything like that, but I just feel like it's so ridiculous, and society and the movie industry, and we need to stop. Like, it all just needs to stop, and we need to take a step back. Then again, marriage is a big business. I mean, if you think about how much money people are making on weddings and the industries that are linked to that, I mean, I mean, if you think about it, there's a reason people want you to feel bad about not being married, right? The cake bakers want you to feel bad. The event planners want you to feel bad. The diamond folks want you to feel bad. The movie people want you, all these people want you to feel bad, because then you'll watch their movies, their romantic comedies, because you want to find love. The diamond people want you to feel bad because if you don't get a ring, they don't get your money. Duh. Or your fiance's money or whatever, you know. If you don't hire this expensive event planner, and no offense, I mean, people got to make their money, event planners and diamond people and, you know, all the cake bakers and all that. Everybody's got to make their money, but basically it's a big business. So a lot of people are profiting from our desire to walk down the aisle. And I wish there wasn't so much pressure and so much built up behind it. And so if you have a married person in your life, or a relative, or anybody that's trying to make you feel bad about being unwed, don't let them do that. Don't let them do it. All right, next time they try, remember me like pointing at you and being real stern. This is tough love. Because I don't want you to feel that way. It's not necessary. Don't feel bad. You're not missing out on anything. If you want to find love, you can find love. You can find a fulfilling relationship, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that you are, you know, getting some guy to choose you. And I'll get back to that in a second, but don't let anyone make you feel bad, because sometimes it's not all it's chalked up to be, you know. And a lot of married people who like to make fun of or mock or judge unmarried people don't necessarily have the lives that they think they have. They don't necessarily have the relationship that they think they do. And oftentimes they're usually pretty unhappy, because happy people don't try to bring other people down. That comes from a place of unhappiness within themselves. You know, they may realize that they're not quite fulfilled, and so the way to make themselves feel better is to make themselves feel like they're ahead of somebody else. Namely, possibly you and possibly me, except they can miss me with all that, because I'm literally unbothered by those kinds of expectations, you know, that you must do this or you must do that in order to be a real woman, or in order to show people that you're desirable, or in order to not have some stigma against you that you'll turn into some crazy cat lady, which is offensive. You know, all this stuff is offensive. The old hag, the old spinster, the crazy old cat lady, and it always involves a woman who didn't get married or did not have children and is now old and alone and angry and bitter. That's not necessarily realistic or has any basis in reality. If someone has a lot of cats and they're older, it could be because they like cats. I mean, and they might not be crazy, because sometimes I can see why people prefer cats and dogs to humans, because humans kind of bother me sometimes. I'm just gonna say it. Reason number 4, or whatever we're on, the selection process, right, of getting married. The idea that a woman is supposed to do everything in her power that she can to make herself desirable and wanted and cherished enough by a man to encourage him to choose her as the person that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. And she's supposed to, like I said, get herself all primed and proper and ready and waiting and hoping. And oh my goodness, girl, he booked the rainbow room tonight, girl. How many times have you seen that on a romantic comedy or something? Ooh, he made reservations at the fancy rainbow room, and he told me to wear something nice and to get a manicure. People gonna be looking at my hands. You know what that means. Okay, so what if this guy never proposes? What if we get ourselves all ready, right? And we're doing all the things we're supposed to do, right? And we're aiming to become married, because that's what we're supposed to do as women, right? We do all this, and then he decides never to propose to us. What then? Right? And what then? And that's the thing about the selection process, and why I call it that. It's because it's like the man is supposed to select the woman as the person he wants to be with. And if she says no, then she's a bitch, right? And she's almost expected to say yes. Never mind the fact that she may not feel the same way. Never mind the fact that she may not think that he's the one to settle down with. She's supposed to just, you know, wait for him to propose, accept his proposal, and then go off and be married and live happily ever after, right? And if he doesn't propose, and if he doesn't pick up on the hints, right? And if the rainbow room has nothing to do with you getting a ring and all of that, then you're supposed to drop clues, right? And drop hints and leave clues, and he's supposed to figure it out. And if you don't figure it out, then you gotta let him know that you're not wasting your time and you waiting for this ring, right? And all these things that we're supposed to do, and it's kind of crazy. Kind of. And so I hope I'm not alone in seeing how damaging this can be, that we're supposed to get ourselves ready, right? Do all the good things, and then hope that he chooses us as his good thing, his goodest thing, or whatever. He'll probably don't say that. Like I said, don't quote me, guys. And it feels kind of like that whole damsel in distress thing, right? That we're sitting around and we waiting to be chosen, and I hope it will pick me, right? And if he's not the one, then ooh, this next one might be my husband. Ooh, pick me, you know? Or I'm gonna drop hints, right? And he's supposed to understand, or I'm gonna tell him, you need to propose to me because we need to get married, and he better, or else. Right? So I'm basically gonna tell him to propose to me. Then when he proposes, oh my God, he proposes. Such a surprise, guys. And it happens that way in the movies all the time, pressuring him into it, or trying to push him or nudge him or plant the seed in his best friend in hopes he chooses us. So in a way, it's kind of ridiculous if you think of it, right? Because we're supposed to sit around and wait for him to choose us, but then we're dropping hints and leaving messages and subliminal clues. So choose me. And by pressuring him, it's like is he there from his own free will, you know? Or have you just pressured him into giving you something, and now you're gonna act like, yeah, he loves me, he gave me the ring because he wants to marry me, even though I dropped hints and, you know, planted the seed and did all these things and gave him an ultimatum, like, you better marry me or else I'm leaving. And then you get the ring, you're like, oh my gosh, guys, he loves me. Oh, he just loves me so much. Girl, stop. And then they sell it on TV in the movies like it's normal behavior. And that, girl, you just gotta do whatever you gotta do for the ring. Even if it means that you gotta pretend to be someone else, right? You hide your true identity until you get the ring, until you get the sad sucker to walk down the aisle, and then, ta-da, this is me. This is the real Nika. But I got you now, so you can't go nowhere, right? How many times has this played out in the movies and they show it as if it's normal? Guys, we in trouble, y'all. And so if two people are looking to get married to each other at some point, shouldn't it be a mutual decision? Like, shouldn't I feel the same way about you that you feel about me, and that we both be on the same page that this is the direction we're going, or this way or this way? Sometimes it be that way, that you gotta part ways if you're not wanting the same things. But if it's me sitting around waiting for him to decide what our future looks like, how is that a mutual decision? You know, how is that us wanting the same things and us going in this together to make this something that ultimately works out in the end? And then if I pressure you into giving me the ring, then it's kind of the same thing. Was it a mutual decision at this point? Or was it me deciding that, yep, this is what we need to do now, and like it or not, you gonna marry me now? And so while I feel like it's all romantic for him to go to the rainbow room and pop the question, and especially if you really feel the same way, if that's what you really want and that's what he genuinely wants and all that, that's great, that's fantastic. But it should be something that is a mutual decision, you know, that you both feel the same way about, that you both feel like in some way, shape, or form, you have the same beliefs and the same goals and the same desired outcome for your relationship. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work out ultimately, because you don't wanna end up in the same place necessarily. And at the same time, under no circumstances is it acceptable for a woman to propose to her boo and ask him to marry her, right? So it's supposed to be this thing where, oh, he wants to marry me, and I just magically feel the same way. But if it's in reverse, then there's something entirely wrong there, right? Go ahead and Google something like girlfriend proposes to boyfriend or something like that, and then look at some of the comments. Look at how many times this poor girl gets called thirsty and desperate and pathetic, and ooh, she's not letting her man be a man, and a man don't like to be, you know, the one that's being approached. They like to be the one that's doing the hunting and all. I mean, there's so many things that are gonna play out in that comment section. I'm telling you, just Google it, it's out there. And I know that some of us might feel the same way, you know, that it might not be my cup of tea to say that I'm gonna propose to my guy, because that's just not Nika. That's just not me. However, I don't feel like a woman should be dragged if she decides that she's comfortable proposing to her man, to her boo, someone that she is in a relationship with, someone that I assume she knows, someone that she wants to be with, who she possibly lays with at night, you know? It's none of my business what she wants to do. And so I personally am not gonna drag her, as much as it's not my thing. But just the thought of that, it makes me so sad that it's like, it's almost like the power is completely out of our hands, right? Unless you're actually gonna talk a guy into it or pressure a guy to do it, if marriage is something that you want, it's completely out of your hands. Girl, you just better do your best and hope and pray, right? Because under no circumstances can you ask him. But the way a lot of guys are going these days, a lot of them they're not the marriage type, right? And they don't plan on that level of commitment unless they're sometimes until they get old and crusty, until nobody don't want to marry them no more, then they want to settle down. Then I need me a good woman to come take care of me, right? But until then, they want to live the Playboy bachelor life, and they're not willing to propose to a woman. So what's the girl to do, right? Society says, let's pressure them into getting married. But then let's put it all on the guy to choose to marry them, right? So that they gotta hustle and bustle and kill themselves to try to catch one. And then if they don't catch one and he decides that he's not gonna propose, then she's gotta feel like something's wrong with her. Oh, and she better not try to pull the trigger herself and try to propose and, you know, choose a mate for herself in that way. Cause then, girl, ooh, shame. It's hard being a lady. And I'm so sad for us in the way that so much is placed on us, and we take so much on as well, and we internalize so much, and we absorb a lot of these negative energies and negative expectations. Or, I mean, they're not even always negative expectations, but sometimes they're just too many. We're expected to be everything at one time, right? You're expected to be happy single, but then desperate to get married. And then an independent woman, but then the perfect woman when the right man comes along, right? And you gotta fit all the things that he wants in a person. And whether or not he fit all the things that you want, just hope that he marries you so that you won't be a spinster. Like, are those the options? Are those the options? So I feel bad for those of us who still give a damn about what people are saying and what people are trying to tell us to do with our lives. Believe me, I've been there. I've been the most worried. Do you think you worry a lot, girl? Girl, I got you beat. Let me just tell you, right? I've been in this mind of mine stressing and worrying about so many things. Thankfully, marriage wasn't one of them. But as long as we're the kind of people who feel like other people's beliefs and other people's feelings about how we should live our lives are as important as they think they are, then we kind of trap ourselves into living our lives the way they want us to, right? Instead of trying to really figure out what works for us. Do I really want to get married, or am I just being told that I need to get married? You know, and I'm about to talk myself out of getting married. Wait a minute. But you know, it's like, what's my motive here, really? You know, do I want a loving and supportive relationship with a man? Yes. Do I absolutely have to 100% get married? For some of us, the answer is yes. For many of us, the answer is no. For some of us, the answer is hell no. like I don't want that. And I'm seeing a trend lately, and maybe not lately, I'm sure this is a recurring thing over time, but a lot of women that I'm seeing or following or speaking to or whatever are denouncing relationships altogether. Forget marriage. They're like, I'm done with these men. Like, I'm just not gonna do it no more. I'm not gonna be able to do it because it's just so hard. And so, like I said, this is not to sway anyone one way or another, to be like, girl, do you, be independent, you don't need a boo. And it's not also to be like, yes, please get married, go get married, it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's neither of those things. It's just me trying to express that all of the options are okay. Whatever you choose, wherever you end up, whichever path you go down, whether married, what, girl, what do you say? Married. Whatever path you go down, whether married or single or widowed or divorced or cohabitating, girl, we know that one from earlier, don't we? Or, you know, just in a relationship or in a situationship, and whoever we end up with or don't end up with in our love life, it's okay. I just pray that we'll all be happy, you know, with whatever choice, with whatever path we go down. You know, if a woman is a cat lady, I hope that she's a happy cat lady. Like, it's all okay. It's all cool. It's really not that serious. Like, it's really not. And the final reason that I'm just too through with this marriage stuff. No, I'm kidding. The final reason that it's never really been a goal with the construct of marriage as it's been built up to be, I feel like there are just so many rules, just period, just so many rules. And it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, really, right? So if you're a woman and you're aspiring to be married someday, you know, you want to find true love, you want to be in a relationship, you want to be married, it's like, shh, don't mention it too soon, because then you'll scare him off, right? You don't want him to get flighty, right? So don't say the M word too soon, because then he's like, oh no, she wants that. Oh no, I'm afraid of commitment. I can't. No, she's she's gonna try to trap me, you know? So it's like, okay, let me get this straight. This is a guy that I want to be mature enough, stable enough, and in love with me enough to propose and make a good, honest woman out of me, right? But he's so easily scared away, apparently, that I can't say anything about it in the beginning, lest he gets scared off and frightened, right? And then you lose him, right? And he's gonna slip through your fingers, because now you're gonna seem desperate. And men don't want to get married, so that attribute in a woman wanting to get married is unattractive and scary. And what? So again, it's supposed to be everything that women want, but we're supposed to talk about it as little as possible so that we don't scare off the flighty men who are not sure if they want us yet. They're not sure which one they picked yet. So we just wait around till they decide and not mention it. And mum's the word. He's just supposed to know. And we're supposed to automatically feel that way about him. Girl. Also, this one is controversial, but I'm gonna have to say it. I feel like there are certain religious groups and certain religious people who feel like they get to decide who's allowed to be married and who's not. And for me, and to me, that's just not okay. And so the fact that marriage is for these people but not for these people, and we get to decide what the rules are and who to push out and who to exclude and whose union to recognize and who's not, and being a certain or having a certain sexual orientation means that you're allowed to be married, but the rest of you are not, and good luck, you know. I don't feel like that's fair. Not only that, it's downright discriminatory, and also I feel like the reasons behind it are often hypocritical, because if we're talking, you know, the fact that marriage is a very serious thing and it's supposed to be based on love and it's supposed to be based on an understanding and people who are truly intending to spend the rest of their lives together, then I feel like a lot of these farce marriages that happen every day for other reasons need to be condemned as well. Not just homosexual marriages, and not just these two people or this group of people because they live their lives in a way that is deemed unacceptable by mainstream or the majority, I suppose, in a certain society. And I'm sure we've heard of a lot of celebrities that have been married for 20 days or 60 days or, you know, whatever, and they break up almost immediately. They're divorced or annulled almost immediately, and I don't see people tearing down those unions as something that shouldn't be allowed, or that this person should never be allowed to marry again, or whatever, for making a mockery out of marriage. But if two people who are genuinely in love, no matter who they're in love with, want to be married, then somehow we get to pick and choose which ones. I don't feel like that's fair. Like I said, I know it's controversial, and I know that different people have their reasons for believing what they do. I have my reasons for believing what I do, and like I said, we're all free to believe different things. It's okay, boo. We don't gotta fight about it. We just agree to disagree. But I feel like I did have to say that because fair is fair, right is right. I wouldn't want my rights denied, or for my union to not be good enough to be recognized because someone disapproved of who I chose to marry, whether it was because of our sexual orientation or our race or our religious differences or our background or our income levels or income differences or whatever the case is. You know, I wouldn't be having it if somebody tried to tell me how to live my life, and so I'm not about trying to tell other people how to do it either, as long as they're consenting adults doing it. And so that's it. That's all I have to say about this topic. I hope it didn't come off as me bashing marriage or married people or anything like that. Like I've mentioned, I am engaged to be married, and I do intend to keep that promise to that man whose ring I accepted. I'm no quitter, and if I told him we're gonna do it, we're gonna try our damnedest to make sure that we do it and that we do it well. But we are only human, and as humans we have to decide how we're gonna proceed, what kind of future we're gonna make together, whether or not we can work things out when things get tough, and how we're gonna maneuver through the whole thing. And so aside from all these expectations and all these things that people have for us, we are still gonna be the people in our relationship deciding how it goes, if we go for the long haul, if we call it quits, if we make it to the altar, if we get sick of each other too soon and don't, you know, whatever the case may be, we are gonna be the ones to decide that. And so I feel like all the outside noise, all the expectations, all the rules, all the everything that kind of clouds our minds when it comes to, you know, relationships and our love life and what we should be doing and who we should be with and the kind of moves we should be making in our love lives. I feel like it's all ridiculous, and I don't want anyone to feel bad about it, and I want you to feel happy with exactly where you are in your love life, wherever that may be. And I pray that you find what you're looking for, whether that's marriage, whether that's a house of 10 cats, whether that's something in between, whether it's just love, which for me was always the thing. I know it's cheesy and corny, but you know, for me, like I said, when my mom would ask us where we planned, you know, if we plan to get married someday, it was always like, yeah, that would be nice if I found someone that made me happy, who I also made happy, and who I felt like I could do that with. Because forever is a big promise to make to someone. That's a, damn, wait, that is a big promise. What am I getting myself into, y'all? I'm kidding. You know, it is a big promise, and so I feel like if it's something you want, then I pray that you get it. I just want you to know that it's okay to drown out all the extra noise, all of the background sounds, anything that's not serving you for the better in your life. It's okay to tune all that out. Turn the volume down on your mama who's telling you, girl, it's about time you find you a man. Mama, just leave me be, okay? Let me live my life. Finding a man would be nice, but these men ain't about nothing these days. So, mama, I imagine you'd want me to be happy, whether in a relationship or single, rather than just in a relationship. So anyway, hopefully this video helps. I want to thank you so much for watching yet again. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Also leave me a comment letting me know if I missed any reasons that we should not be making such a big deal about marriage, or if you agree with anything I've said, if you disagree with anything that I said. Like I said, I'm open to a discussion. Just please keep it friendly, respectful. I think that's the one I'm looking for. And like I said, don't hate me if I called you out just a little bit on something. It is never my intention to be offensive. However, I do have certain feelings about certain things, and like I said, that's not to impose on anybody else's beliefs. That's just me letting you know how I feel, girl. I'm just letting you know. This is what goes on in Nika's mind, you know? That's just me. So I hope this helped in some kind of way, even if it's just you helping you to get to know me better. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do let me know in the comment section what you thought, and also consider subscribing. I do have quite a few videos on the horizon regarding plus size dating. One of my wonderful subscribers actually gave me the idea of doing a series on plus size dating, and I already had a bunch of notes jotted down about videos that I wanted to film, and the idea of putting them together in a series is actually quite intriguing to me, so you might want to stay tuned. I'm just saying. And I also have some more try-on videos coming. I have some haul videos coming, just lots of things. If you like plus size fashion, if you like talking girl talk about different topics, including men and relationships and dating, among other things, then come on back. Hit the subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. I mean, just hit it, thank you. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Apparently it's cuffing season at some point of the year or something. I don't know. What is this? What's happening to dating? And anyway. When is cuffing season? Is that when it's cold? When is, I don't know. Look.